The National Conference sat for 4 days last week and considered the reports of some of the standing committees. But I think it's appropriate if I go back to the previous week. They sat for just 2 days in the previous week. They did not sit on Wednesday, they did not sit on Thursday, they did not sit on Friday. They didn't sit on Wednesday because the wife of the chairman of the conference, Mary Kutigi, died. She died early Wednesday around 2 a.m. And so they merely came, sat for a few minutes. The deputy chairman, Bolaji Akinyemi, announced the death of the woman, and they adjourned. On Thursday was going to be a public holiday to celebrate the Nigeria Democracy Day. Then on Friday, they usually don't sit on Fridays. Now, on Monday, when they came back, they began consideration of the Committee on Public Finance and Revenue. That committee was chaired by a former governor of Kebbi State, Adamu Alieru. Now, but there was a major issue that cropped up during the consideration of that report, and that was the issue of fuel subsidy. The committee had recommended that the subsidy on petroleum products should be removed, completely removed. So when they started on Monday, it was a heated debate. Some people were arguing for the total removal, while some people were saying it should be gradual. But they were able to resolve that matter when Dan Nwanyao, the national chairman of the Labour Party, came up with, and 22 others also came up with a motion. They came up with a motion that that motion, it was a 3-point motion. One of the prayers was that the refineries should be repaired first before subsidy on petroleum products, is removed. The other one of the other prayer was that some of those investors who were given licenses to build refineries should build the refinery within 3 years. And so at the end of the day, they took a decision. They resolved that, they passed that motion, but with some amendments. They resolved that within 3 years, that these refineries should be back to work. Full capacity, not just turn around, but it should operate at full capacity. Then they also resolved that those who were given licenses should build those refineries. Then the country can now remove subsidy on petroleum products. It was a condition. They gave conditions. Let me not say condition. They gave conditions for the removal, for the complete removal of subsidy on petroleum products. And let me also say that during the debate, like I said, it was heated. And you discover that the civil society people and the labor people were on the other side. They were more, among those guys, among the delegates that were arguing for, the retention of the subsidy for now. Some of them even said it should be gradual. But there were some people, politicians and pro-government people, who were saying that this thing should be totally removed. And that was why the debate was heated. And I think before Daniel Wanyawa and his colleague came up with this motion, I think they met with the leadership just to, to take a middle of the road approach to the issue. And that was how they decided. And they decided on that matter that day. They also agreed that there should be 2 accountant generals in the country. One accountant general for the federation and the other one for the government. I don't want to go into the reasons why they did that. They also resolved. I'm talking about the report on the Public Finance and Revenue Committee now. They also resolved at the end of the day that government should source for funds to revamp Ajaokuta Steel Company. Now they also resolved that on sovereign wealth fund, which is jointly owned by the federal government and the state government. It was agreed that 50% of the accruals from the excess crude account should be taken to sovereign wealth fund, while equivalent percentage of earnings from solid minerals for solid money should also be taken to the sovereign wealth fund. These are some of the issues. These are some of the resolutions they reached on that Public Finance and the Revenue Committee report. And that day they ended, there were some other issues. That day they ended the consideration of that report, passed their resolution, and now on Tuesday they went on to discuss the report of the Public Service Committee. Public Service Committee is headed, I should use the word is headed now, not was headed, because I think the committees are still on, because they can be called upon to do some work on the committees. Now, the Committee on Public Service is headed by Ebere Okeke, a former head of civil service. Now, it was also a heated debate, because they debated that report for 2 days. And at the end of the day, one of the issues they agreed was that legislators at the national and state level should operate on part-time basis. This is one of the issues they resolved, one of the key issues. Another key issue they agreed was that former governors and their deputies should be exempted from payment of severance allowance, life insurance and pension. That, during the week, the Akwa Ibom thing generated some controversy. So then they also agreed that there should be a separate commission for foreign service. That is to say, the foreign service should be pulled out from the Federal Civil Service Commission, which supervises the recruitment and promotion. Should I say promotion, but at least the recruitment, into foreign service. But they agreed that it should be pulled out from there and given some, because it's a technical area. Some of the former foreign ministers who are attending the conference argued in favor of this. For instance, even the deputy chairman of the conference, that is Bolaji Akinyemi, he's a former minister of external affairs. Then Major General Ike Nwachukwu, all these guys argued for the creation of a separate commission for foreign service. Now on Thursday, they continued with because there were some issues that were not resolved the previous day. And so on Thursday morning, before they went into other matters, they had to clear those issues. And one of the issues they cleared was that the issue of budget. You agree with me that since the beginning of this democratic dispensation, no budget has been implemented fully from Obasanjo up to this moment. And so what they did, they set timelines for the submission of the budget, for the passage of the budget, and for the budget to come into operation. Now, they agreed because it was one of the recommendations. It was one of the recommendations of the Committee on Public Service. Now, but they had to amend it to say now that the president should submit the national budget to the National Assembly in September of the preceding year. In fact, by September 1st, the budget should be at the National Assembly. Then the National Assembly has between that September and November 30th to conclude work on the budget. Now, if there are going to be issues arising from the passage of the budget, they have this December, few days in December before they go on Christmas break to resolve those issues. Then one other resolution they took, while considering the report of the Public Service Committee, was that there should be no pay rise for workers. Some suggested that it should be, currently it is 18,000, but some suggested that it should be jacked up at least about 40,000, but it was roundly rejected, and so no increment. Some of the delegates were disturbed about the performance of the Federal Character Commission. For them, the commission has not lived up to its billing, or it has not performed well. And so what they tried to do was to also introduce some matters, some functions which they will also carry out. And at the end of the day, they agreed that the Federal Character Commission should be renamed Federal Character and Equal Opportunities Commission. Why did they say so? some people, about 33 delegates, brought a motion saying that the federal character should also look into special areas or specialized areas like issue of gender, issue of youth, and one other persons living with their disabilities. Now, those ones will now form part of the functions of Federal Character Commission, which will now be renamed Federal Character and Equal Opportunities Commission. You know. Okay, and then after the debate and the resolutions, after they took resolutions on the Committee on Public Service, they now called on the chairman of the Committee on Science, Technology and Development to present his report. Actually, he presented his report to Daniel Madu. I think he's from somewhere in the Northeast. Now, this week, which begins on Monday, the National Conference will consider the recommendations and the amendments proposed for debate or proposed by the Committee on Science, Technology and Development, because I told you they presented their report and they finished debate on the report. Now they will start considering the recommendations of the committee and the amendments proposed.